Today I want to teach you guys how to make a pretty girl using just an elegant writer and water. My name is Karen Campbell, and if this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome. I teach drawing and mixed media tutorials here on YouTube. I also love me an art journal, and that's what I'm working in today. Now, originally I just wanted to show you, talk a little bit about water solubility before we launch into the elegant writer. You might be familiar with this tutorial that I have on YouTube, which is really just demonstrating why I like the Stabilo All pencil so much, and that illustration you just saw is using just the Stabilo All and water. And that's it. And I just wanted to talk about that real quickly before we jump right into the drawing. And by the way, you better be ready to draw with me. She is also done with the Stabilo and just water. And I just wanted to show you the difference between that and the elegant writer, because I use the Stabilo all the time here on YouTube. So when you use the Stabilo and you add water, as you'll see right now, it becomes like a super jet black pigment. And that's why I love it so much. It's very rare to find other water-soluble pencils that are that black. Now the elegant writer, on the other hand, if you notice when I brush the water across it, it's a much more complex. Doesn't activate all the way down the way that the Stabilo does. You also get these like greens and blues and grays. And when you take a paper towel or a towel and you sponge off the extra moisture, you get this really beautiful pink that gets left behind. So it's a really, because it's like this complex mix of colors, you get these really cool effects that you can, do all sorts of fun things with your drawing. So I just wanted to kind of go over the differences between a regular water-soluble pencil and the elegant writer, which is also different than just like a regular Tombow water-soluble marker. It's just those complex colors that I love so much. So you guys better be getting out your art journals and arting with me. You just need to make sure that you will have a watercolor paper with you, because we are going to be using a lot of water for this project. So let's draw a face. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and just pause it. It's sped up only 2 times, so it shouldn't be going crazy fast. So again, we draw an oval, define the face shape and the neck. And then I put the vertical line down the dead center and bring a horizontal line across the middle, and that's the eye line. You can see that's where the 3 ovals I'm drawing are now. Halfway between the horizontal and the chin is another line, and that's the nose line. And halfway between the nose line and the chin is the mouth line. So once you have all those guidelines in, you can start defining your features a little bit, and then again, go ahead and stop the video if you need to catch up with me. So I'm starting to define my features, just using a pencil, no big deal, drawing some bushy eyebrows, because those are all the rage these days. Defining the nose, I'm starting with the nostrils. I kind of mess around with my noses. I like to try different things. I did not like her nose in this project, but that's how I know you like things. Is the only way to know is to try. So I'm never shy about trying new things. So her nose was not centered, so I just scooted it over there a little bit. And this stage is awesome because you can erase to your heart's content. The other difference between the elegant writer and other water-soluble markers and pencils is that after you've activated it once with the water, it becomes permanent. So the only other product I can think of off the top of my head that has the same property are the Derwent Inktense pencils. Those are also permanent once they've been activated once with water. Every other water-soluble marker or pencil, Stabilos included, Tombows, Winsor Newton, there's Let's Set, there's so many brands. Those all remain water soluble, like they're true watercolors. So what's the nice part about the elegant writer and the fact that it's permanent after you've run your water brush over it once is that you can go and layer over it again and again, and either choose to activate it a second time, or you can keep it dry, and that's a completely different look also. But it's a great tool to travel with, because all you need is like a little pencil pouch, an elegant writer, water pen, and like a paper towel and a little tiny watercolor journal, and like the sky's the limit. You can do so much. This is also awesome for like doing stonework on castles, say if you're in Scotland. I know a girl who loves Scotland. So there's just so much that you can do with this, but doing faces is a really, really fun, great way to explore new styles, just practice your girls. So all I'm doing is I'm taking a little, one of my elegant writers. I just get like the multi-pack, and then it comes with different nibs. This one's just like, it's like a 1.6, so it's like a fat, straight nib, and you can just use the chisel tips too. I just use the point of the chisel tip if that's the kind that I'm reaching for. And I'm just drawing over all of my pencil lines. That's all. I'm not getting fancy here. I'm literally just tracing my shapes. So for the hair, if you notice, I'm talking about there, you pick a part and you go down across the forehead on both sides, and then you go up and over the original like oval that you've drawn for the head, and that gives you the correct amount of volume for the hair. So I'm just doing some kind of loose strands in there, and you guys, that's all you're gonna do before you get to start like the really super fun, satisfying part, which is just activating your lines. So I'm dabbing out the excess because I wanted to try to get some of that pink rocking. You don't see the pink generally if you just like let this dry. You won't see the pink. The pink is when you lift off the extra. That's when that pink comes out to play. So you can kind of play around with that. It's a really cool feature. Adding another pigtail just cause, no reason. Pigtails. And again, like it's just quick doodle. So if like you're in a time crunch, you only want to like art for like 5 minutes, this is just such a fun exercise. So as you notice, I'm keeping the ink within her hair. Like I'm not going outside of her hairline. However, when I start doing her face, I'm very deliberate about where the ink is gonna go. Okay, so I'm saying here, the light source is going to be coming straight on, so it's going to be symmetrical on either side. So I'm trying to activate that line. If there's any left, yeah, it's still wet from when I did her hair, so I can still take some of that ink and I'm going to create a shadow line, because when the sun hits, her hair is going to create a shadow right there. So, and her ears are going to be dark because they are recessed. All right, so watch and pay attention. So now I'm pulling the ink down under her chin because that's going to be also in shadow. That's just where shadows fall if the light source is hitting anyone directly into the face. So you can do that. And then we're going to go and I'm resetting it to real time when I go and do her eyes, so it's not scary and you can really see. So this is real time now. I've slowed it down. So I'm activating with the water her eyebrow, and then I'm pulling it down, and I'm adding the shading very deliberately in the same places that I would add it, like if that was my imaginary light source, head it straight down onto her face, if I was doing like any other kind of painting or drawing. So see, that shadow by her hair is not reactivating because I've already hit it once with the water, so it's kind of done. But there's her eyebrow still wet, so I can kind of pull from that a little bit. And the more ink you put down with your elegant writer, the more ink you have to play with that's moving around on your paper. So because I was using the not chiseled tip elegant writer, and typically most elegant writers, because their calligraphy pens are chisel tip, you can get some like real heavy lines and you can do a lot of like moving around of a lot of ink. So this is not so much because I'm using that the finer tipped nib, and that's why it's not going crazy to activate. So with your first face, it's probably a smart move to put down a little, because it can get really juicy and get crazy colors. So I'm moving it around. It's just like watercolors at this point, and as long as it's still wet, I can still maneuver it around. As soon as it dries, it's forever, right? So you gotta like get it while it's wet. And I want to get some of that pink out, so I'm dabbing it with my paper towel. But if you notice, there's a subtle shadow like right along her whole face, from her eyebrows down to her chin. There's a little shadow, and then under her lips is going to be a shadow as well. That's just typical whimsical shading right there. So you can pull that down. So the chin will always stick forward because, again, that's where the light is hitting you and it kind of protrudes out. Like if you touch your face from your chin to the bridge of your nose up to your forehead, that all is sticking out. So that will stay white. I'm dabbing at it to get the paint going. And just very carefully applying the water along the lip line. Trying to just get some like color down, and I'm leaving a little white highlight on the bottom lip. If you cover over something that you want to be covered, like to be white later on, you can just go back with a paint marker. I do that all the time. It's super valid. Don't even worry about it. Again, so let's do the left hand side now. So I'm taking my brush, I'm running it over the eyebrow. I'm pulling the ink where I want there to be shading. So the bridge of the nose is not made from the lines, even though I super freely used lines in this drawing. This is not a realistic drawing. Hope you are comfortable with that fact. Hopefully you've caught on to that by now. This is very much like a whimsical, whatever, fun face. So again, as you can see, I'm just touching my brush, and any parts of the ink that have not been touched by water yet, I can grab onto and move around to my advantage. If there's too much, just simply blot it away. Just make sure you do it quickly before it dries, and then you still have some control over it. And like, it takes a couple passes of doing faces with this to kind of get the hang of it. So don't worry if your first one's like a disaster or throwaway. I think that's super normal. I know mine were not perfect, but it's like really fun and kind of addicting because you're like, ooh, let me try that again. All right, you know, I screwed up on this one. Let's go for it again. And it gets a little addicting. I'm just warning you. Once you start, you're not going to want to stop. And you can kind of like do anything with. You can kind of do anything with it too, because it adds shadows instantly. So you can do like a chair and draw a shadow line for a chair. You can do like stone buildings is my favorite. I'm going to do another project soon with an elegant writer to show you that. But I'm just like testing with my brush and just being like, okay, is that activated? Is that activated? Have I touched that one yet? Forgot her iris on that side. So again, there was still some not activated, so I'm re-wetting it again. There's always a shadow on the top lid, so make sure you run some water along the top of the eye, and that casts on top of the iris. That's like a true shadow that lives there, so you can do that. So the downside of this is that there's really like these bold marks, so you have to figure out how to like come to peace with them. I have like a bolder effect that I will show you in a few minutes with this, which like I kind of like had fun with while I'm doing. I don't love the effect of it afterwards, but I had fun while I was making it, so I'm not really sure I care that much. So much of this is just play and discovery and like finding out what works for you. All right, so now I'm gonna speed it up a little bit because I'm gonna go in for the second pass. So everything is dried now, and I'm kind of like just doodling on top with the intent of reactivating my second layer. Now that's totally optional. You don't have to ever put any water on any new marks again, and that's fine. The weirdest part about these is they weren't really activating very much, and I couldn't figure out why. I think the reason is that my paper was still damp. So when I wrote those lines on the lips, they got like instantly activated because my paper was wet. That's pretty much what happened. So make sure your layers are super duper duper dry. And I'm just like moving on with my life, as all things are. Like, it's all good, it doesn't really matter. There's much more serious things in the world than my screwed up lips. So I'm moving on with my life. I'm just scrambling whatever things will work with me, and whatever doesn't want to move, then I'm like, all right, I'm just going to respect your decision to stay there, and I'm going to move on to a different part of her face. In which case, that's her hair, so I'm doing these loose lines. And you know, sometimes I don't like pre-decide if I'm going to re-wet a layer or not. Like, I might just get caught up in my doodling for a few minutes, and then I take a look at it and be like, yeah, I guess I could activate that. Or like, ooh, I want to see what that looks like when I draw water on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like a hard and fast rule. You can totally just do whatever you feel like. So I'm doing her eyelashes, and I don't activate them at first because I want you to see what it looks like having something like like I really like the juxtaposition between like her like washed face and like her super stark eyelashes. Like sometimes I like to kind of ponder that look and be like, do I like that? And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. So I end up activating all of it just to like show you guys, kind of pushing it to the next level. Not in terms of like, ooh, it's the next level, it's super awesome, but just to show you what the possibilities are. I don't mind being your guinea pigs for you. So I don't know, I just started kind of futzing around on her face and adding some few lines, and she already had that stark contrast between the Elegant Writer like wash color and the black back lines. I just kind of started doodling. I've been really into cross hatching my girls lately, my watercolors, and so I just thought I would like give it a go on her face. I don't recommend this if you're not used to doing cross hatching. This, I wouldn't normally do it with such a broad nib like this. Usually when I do my cross hatching, I use a much smaller nib than I'm using like for the bold outlines. But again, I just want to illustrate like the possibilities. You can just take this with a grain of salt. If you want to just sit back and watch this point, and you can watch me make all sorts of weird decisions and be like, ooh, I want to try that, or like, oh, sweet Jesus, what is she doing to her drawing? Like, that's entirely up to you, and I don't mind being your guinea pig, like I said. So right now you can see a lot of blues, and I just thought, what the hey, let's just go for it. Let's just activate it all up, and even her eyelashes, and just do all of it. Like, who cares? So yeah, I'm having fun right now. I'm having fun watching this back, actually. It was fun watching it. Now it's even more fun watching it back. I hope you guys try this. It's really fun. It is scary if you've never done it before, but then it's really quickly not. It's really not a big deal. It's just art. We're just having a fun day. So then doodle, 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 swabby, swabby, swabby. And then like her cross hatching, I'm like, ugh, but like, who cares? It's all good. And I'm trying to, her lips are still like, I am not moving. I am these lines. I am not moving. So that's just, it's what it is. But like overall, when I add like the highlights and stuff, actually like, it's fine. It all blends together. Her nose becomes kind of like a hot mess, which I like kind of deal with, and then kind of deal with off camera a little bit. I don't know if you just saw me, I just was cross hatching in the air and I wasn't actually putting down any water. Oh, and this is a fun trick. I was trying to get like kind of more realistic, like you know, like how your eyes have like spokes on like a bicycle wheel, how they come out. So I was put it down a little bit more ink, and then I was seeing if I could draw it out. It worked. That's kind of cool. Again, always like dry between your layers if you want to add more. I wouldn't put a wet marker ever into like a wet paper, because it will kill your markers like really quickly. So yeah, just playing, having fun, showing you guys all the cool things you can do with your Elegant Writer. And then at the very end, you can just add like, you can add with like a paint marker like I'm doing here, just like add some highlights back in. Now, if your ink is still wet, which mine I'm pretty sure was, some of it will seep through, but look at her eyes. Look from those dots of the Sharpie pen. Like, how fun is that? They're all like twinkly. And like now her lips, like you can do some really cool, juicy, you know, highlights, because there's a lot of drama with all the colors smearing everywhere, and like it's a really, really stunning effect. So this is where I go like a little crazy on her nose. I was using a reference for a nose, which is like a bad idea. I should have just done my standard like whimsical nose. So it's not the best nose ever, but whatever. I was really excited to show this project with you guys today. I promised on my Scotland Castle art retreat that I would teach everybody about the Elegant Writer, and I never got around to it on our last day. We were so busy. And so this video is dedicated to my retreat girls. I'm sorry this is like so late, but hopefully you'll be inspired to give this a go, and I hope you guys do. If you're in my Facebook group, oh my god, look at her nose, is a hot mess. But if you see the last shot, if you wait till the very end of the video, you can see I kind of save her nose a little bit. I had to go back in with like with a little bit of a black marker and do it. But like, look at her, she's kind of a rock star. And then I can like doodle dry lines if you want to over. Just keep going if you want, or you can stop like 15 minutes ago. It's all good. If you guys have any like tips or tricks for my other viewers, and you want to like, oh, my favorite thing to draw with an elegant writer is like, you know, I don't know, cars or like computer screens or whatever, or if you have any tips about how we can work our elegant writers better, I encourage you to write them in the comment section. Likewise, if you have any questions for me, or you have any suggestions for like other things you would like me to draw with an elegant writer, I am totally up for taking your suggestions. So just let me know down in the comment section. And yeah, if you want help drawing faces, drawing realistic faces, plus checking out new styles, check out my brand new book that is just hitting Amazon bookshelves called Karen Campbell's Official Guide to Helping You Find Your Style. So that'll be coming soon. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will catch you on the flip side every Friday, new videos. I'll see you then.